Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dissect the confusing world of corporate filings. Today we're diving into Longevity Health Holdings' latest quarterly report. Get ready for a bumpy ride because this report is like a choose-your-own-adventure, except all the endings involve financial uncertainty. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for even deeper dives into these topics. Longevity Health Holdings just dropped their financial report for the first 3 months of 2025, and it's a mixed bag. The big story, they're still trying to find stable ground while navigating some serious financial challenges. Let's break down what's happening. Let's start with the good-ish news. Their assets are up. Total assets jumped from about $1.7 million at the end of last year to $334 million now. A big chunk of that comes from inventory, which ballooned from roughly $1 million. Accounts receivable also saw a decent bump, signaling they're collecting more on sales, but it might not be enough. Now brace yourselves. Liabilities, or what they owe, are also way up. Accounts payable, the short-term bills they need to pay, are at $4.6 million, a bit more than $4 million at the end of last year. This paints a picture. They're selling more, hence the increased inventory and receivables, but they're also racking up bills faster. And here's the kicker. Their accumulated deficit, basically the total losses over the company's lifetime, is a staggering $70 third hole to climb out of, which makes everything else a bit concerning. Their total stockholders deficit, negative $3.8, the concerning. Their total stockholders deficit, negative $3 million. This means they owe more than they own. Let's move over to the income statement to see how well Longevity is actually doing at selling its products. For the first 3 months of 2025, gross sales were $534,943. They essentially had no sales in the same period of last year. It is mainly because their big acquisition didn't happen until recently. Operating expenses tell an important part of the story. Longevity's selling and marketing expenses totaled $280,549 compared to $0 from last year, which obviously is because of sales this year. On the other hand, research and development is down by over half, dropping from $49 to $96,912 to $96,912. Net loss is much improved, even if it's still bad. They reported a net loss of roughly $1.5 million last year, so they're losing less money, but they're still in the red. The loss per share is 1.52 cents from last year. As you can see, their income isn't looking too hot still, but there have been some marginal improvements here and there. Now, the statement of shareholder equity can further help us understand where the income improvements are coming from and how. Additional paid-in capital, which is what investors have put in, has increased by about $2.4 million since the start of the year. They seem to be raising funds. That's something good. The cash flow statement summarizes how Longevity is getting and spending its money. Net cash used in operating activities, which shows how efficiently they make money from main business, is still negative at around $752,000. However, this has gotten better if you compare it to the same period last year. Investing activities show that they acquired Elevai, which is a cumbered $50,000 transaction. The cash flow story is in financing activities. They raised $1.6 million. Now let's look at the notes to see if we can catch anything interesting that the management wants to hide. Longevity Health Holdings focuses on cosmetic products that help with healthy aging. They have 2 main brands and their operations are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The company did a reverse stock split, meaning that for every 30 shares of stock you had, they became 1 share. This move can make the stock price look better, but it doesn't change the underlying value of the company. It's like exchanging $31 bills for $30 bill. It's still the same amount of money. They bought Elevai Skincare in January. The deal included shares of Longevity's stock and some potential future payouts if Elevai hits certain performance goals. They sold shares and warrants in a private placement in January, raising $1.85 million before deducting fees. The private placement has a placement agent and it has a board member as one of their managing partners, which might be a conflict of interest since they can decide to give themselves a good deal and shortchange the company at large. So what could go wrong? Well, they are involved in potential lawsuits. The report explicitly states they have substantial doubt about their ability to continue as a going concern for the next year. This is a big red flag. The numbers back it up. They're in a very tight position financially and their continued activity is not guaranteed. Finally, it is important to consider that share-based compensation expense totaled $114,829, up from about $20,000 from last year. This means the company is spending more and more by paying in stock and options, and that should translate to dilution where stock prices come down after these issuances. All right, what do we make of Longevity Health Holdings? They're in a tough spot. Sales are happening, but they aren't generating enough cash to cover all of their expenses. And raising cash through stock sales only solves the problem for a short time, while potentially hurting the stockholders. Right now, the company needs to make a decision about continuing or restructuring because it can't maintain its current operations in a sustainable way. Also, the need to continue the merger by September, along with the multiple red flags here and there, should definitely concern an investor. So that's our breakdown of Longevity's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.